So you've heard your house could bring big money on the market right now. But what does that actually mean? Aren't all the other houses just as expensive? If everything's up in value so much, what does it help you to have your house be up? I'm Zack Smith, a realtor from Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm going to walk you through a few examples of what you can do with the extra value you have in your home and how that equity can really make a big difference in what you have as purchase options. There are a lot of different factors that have brought the market to where it is today, but we're going to focus in on one specific factor, the one that's creating the most opportunities, and that's the number of buyers in the market and their interests. Due to the pandemic, a lot of buyers are searching for community over commute time. What does that mean? Well, it means that buyers are looking for the neighborhood or community that they want to live in, not the one that's a little bit closer to their office. This has created large price disparities in the market and a large difference in what features people are looking for in their home. This disparity has opened up big gaps in prices in the market from one neighborhood to another, and it creates a lot of opportunity for different moves. Today, we'll look at examples that actually don't take too much of that into account, but if you're willing to have an open mind when you look, everything here could look even better for you based on the numbers just by looking outside of these hot communities. As I go through these examples, I've picked a relative price point that should make it easy for you to apply to your own circumstance. We're going to be looking at a home that you currently own valued around $800,000 on the market today. If that seems like a lot of money and you're down in the $400,000 value range, then just have all of the differences that I'm showing you in the numbers. If you're looking at a much higher price point in the mid 1 million range, double all of the numbers that you see. This should give a wide range of buyers the ability to use this video to learn more about what the numbers mean for their personal situation. If you're still a little lost based on the translation to your situation, always feel free to send me a message and I'll be happy to walk through your specific numbers with you. With that, let's get into the first example. In our scenario, you're going to have purchased a $500,000 house just a few years ago and put down about 10% as a down payment. This means that your mortgage is at $450,000 on a 30-year note at a 4.5% interest rate. With these figures, your monthly principal and interest payment is about $2,280 per month. We're going to ignore taxes, HOA, insurance, and other fees that you might have to pay because that does add a lot of complexity and it's hard to translate outside of your specific situation. So with these numbers and having purchased the house a few years ago, you've got about $400,000 in equity in your home. That's because the house has appreciated a whopping $300,000, and you've got about $100,000 that you've paid off from the initial value, including your down payment. To recap, in your current situation, you currently own an $800,000 house where you have about $400,000 worth of equity in the home. Your previous interest rate was 4.5%, and you're looking to make a move. We're going to look at if you move to a 20% less expensive house where you right size and find just the features that you really want and need and get the perfect house for your long-term future. Where you take a lateral move, moving to another community or another house that you think will suit your needs better, but it's about the same price. And finally, a move where you go up into a little bit nicer of a house or a larger home, priced about 20% more. Finally, we'll look at some of the opportunities you have available to you for investing in the market using your newfound equity. So for the first example, I want to show you the power that you have in moving to a similar home at a similar price. Although, again, that buyer disparity that I mentioned earlier means that at a similar price, depending on the community you move to, you could actually get a lot more house for your money. The other thing that this example will do is show you a glimpse into what refinance numbers alone. If you still have a 4.5% interest rate, or really anything much over 4%, you should definitely pay attention here because at the very least, you're going to want to consider refinancing. So with that, let's get into the numbers. To start, I want to mention that in all of these examples, you'll notice that the value doesn't quite seem to add up. I don't want to hide anything from you, so I want to point out that you will have closing costs when you decide to move. Here, I use an estimated number of about 8.5% of your original home value. Where does that number come from? Well, in my experience, it costs home sellers around 7% of their home value to move and home buyers around 2%. To handle any disparities, and for simple math, I just stick with that 8.5% number for closing costs and fees. So for our first example, we're going to look at a lateral shift in the market. What that means is that you're buying a similarly priced home. It could be a nicer home in a slightly less expensive community. It could be a less nice home in a more expensive community. Alternatively, you could just want to shuffle the features that you have and be moving just down the street. Ultimately, though, we're going to be looking at a home of the same price as the one that you currently own. It's important to keep in mind, though, that your home has appreciated, so you're going to see a difference in the mortgage numbers because the actual price that you're paying for the home is substantially different than the price you paid for your current home. So in this example, purchasing an $800,000 home, again, remember to have if you're in the $400,000 range or double if you're in the mid $1 millions, you're going to have a mortgage of about $468,000. With this number, you've got about $332,000 of equity in your home. Again, that differential comes from our 8.5% closing costs that we're factoring into all of these moves. Even though your mortgage amount here does go up slightly, thanks to the 3% interest rate that would still be high at the time of filming this video, you're going to see a drop in your monthly payment. You're going to go from $2,280 to $1,973 as your monthly payment for principal and interest. Again, we're ignoring HOA, taxes, and other fees. You can see here the power of refinancing or a lateral move. We've dropped our monthly payment by about 15%. This correlates pretty directly with the 1 to 10 rule for interest rates. For every 1% drop in interest rate, you'll see a 10% decrease in your monthly payment for the home. If you were to purely refinance, you'd see much closer to that 15% number because you wouldn't have had to pay closing costs to move into your new home. Next up, let's look at the right size example. In right sizing, you get rid of that extra bedroom that you never use. You maybe ditch the pool that you never swim in, or some other feature that you don't use in the house. You might add something else you've always wanted, like a double oven or nicer countertops. Maybe you get a larger backyard to spend more time outdoors. Ultimately, though, by selecting just the features you need, you save about 20% on the price of your home. That means that in this case, you'll be moving into a $600,000 house. In this move, your increase in equity will pay off big time. Even though you originally purchased your last house for $500,000, so you're still moving up a price, you're only going to be financing $268,000 of the note. Thanks to this dramatic decrease in the amount of money that you're actually financing, you'll see a 50% reduction in your monthly payment. By moving to a home with a 20% cheaper value than your current home, combined with today's low interest rates, you're seeing a dramatic drop in your monthly payment. This dramatic drop in monthly payment can open up a lot of opportunities for you. A lot of homeowners are really starting to look at the world around them and wondering about their security and their long-term financial stability. Deciding to right size can create dramatic opportunities for an increase in other investments around your life. One last thing that I want to mention is that particularly in the luxury market, there are huge price disparities between very similar homes in different communities. You could get a nearly identical home 10 minutes down the road and see a 20% change in price. This again goes back to that preference for community over commute time that has become so common in COVID. If you don't really mind where you put your house, you should definitely look at the areas around your target market to see if there's a house somewhere that fits your needs and is in a location that you can be excited about. With that, we'll move on to the example where you pay a little bit more for your new home. You might be thinking of growing your family, the kids might be getting bigger and growing up a little bit and need some more space, or maybe you just want some nicer features and amenities. In our example, you'll be buying a $1 million home, a 20% increase in value over your current house. You'll be financing a note of $668,000. That may seem like a lot of money, but again, thanks to our low 3% interest rate, you're not going to see nearly as large of an increase in your monthly payment. In this example, your monthly payment will come out to be $2,816 per month. That is a large, approximately 25% increase over your original monthly payment. However, you are financing about 50% more on the mortgage than you did on your original home. One of the great advantages of having a higher amount of equity is that it allows you to purchase a more expensive home and have a larger down payment. This can increase what you can afford, but it can also decrease the payment that you'll have on that new mortgage. A lot of buyers do need more space or a nicer home, and now is a great time to use your equity to get into that new home in a way that can last you for a long time and that you can enjoy. The final example that I want to look at is if you were to take some of the equity out of your current home and use it to purchase a rental property. Now, I don't want to make this a masterclass in investing. We can save that for another video. But I do want to mention that cap rates right now have been driven down in the residential market. That means that the amount of money that you're seeing going into your pocket each month from your rental property is quite a bit lower than you would have seen several years ago. You can offset this by purchasing a home that needs a little bit of improvement to see big returns. That could mean that you're going to add landscaping, refresh a unit, or any number of other options. If you want to consider some of the properties that are on the market because this seems right for you, I'd be happy to show you some more specific examples of how you could refresh a property to increase the amount of money you make each month, or the cap rate. For our example, we're going to use a 6% cap rate. That means that each year you'll be making about 6% of the property's value in rental income. Now, there's a lot more to dig into in the numbers than just this cap rate, and the actual true value that you're seeing in your pocket each month might change depending on what you decide to save for and budget for. But this is a conservative estimate that we can use to see where a property might shake out. The next key point that I want to mention is that you'll need to put down about 20% of the value of the property at the time of purchase for any rental property you choose to buy. In our example with our previous home's equity, it would be reasonable to take out about $200,000 of equity from your current home. Again, your current home is valued at about $800,000, so it would leave you with a $600,000 mortgage note. With this $200,000 as a 20% down payment, you could purchase up to $1 million in property as a rental investment. We'll think of this somewhere along the lines of a duplex or threeplex that you can use to rent out multiple units and decrease your overall vacancy rate. So what does that property look like by the numbers? Well, you'd have a monthly payment of around $3,372. That seems like a lot of money, but with our 6% cap rate, you're going to be bringing in about $5,000 a month in income. That means that in your pocket, you'll see about $1,600 a month. That cash into your pocket can be seen as an offset for your higher monthly payment on your current home. Remember that the amount you have financed on your current home will have gone up to about $600,000, meaning that your new monthly payment on your current home will be around $2,500 a month. Even though that's an increase, it's not nearly as much as that $1,700. Your new net monthly payment for both properties will only be around $900 a month. Again, you'll see variance in this depending on how you decide to budget the money that's coming into your pocket each month from the rental, but it gives you an idea of the power of purchasing a rental home with some of the equity in your property. That's it for the examples that I have prepared. If you have a specific question about your specific scenario, feel free to message me or call me, and I'll be happy to walk through your specific case. I keep saying specific because this is a really specific process. Your specific interest rate, mortgage, current equity, the value of your home, all factor into the options that you have available and what they might look like as the numbers shake out. The last thing I'll mention is that if you want to learn more about how we got here in the market so that you can even better take advantage of the opportunities available, be sure to check out my video about how we got here and where the market's going next. With that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.